from going to this book signing in their Trump gear. The video is on Laura Loomer's Twitter, who is back on Twitter, courtesy of the great Elon Musk. So we have Laura Loomer on the phone here. Laura Loomer, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me on, Brian.
Okay, now well, thank you for giving us your time. And I got to tell you, Laura Loomer, I've been talking about this for the last hour or so on the radio. I'm a little suspect of this story, Laura Loomer. But if you could, I'll tell you why in a bit. But if you could walk us through what happened and led up to the security guard approaching you and the MAGA supporters out there, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah. So this event was taking place in Leesburg, and of course, yesterday Ron DeSantis's book, his new book, came out, and he launched his book tour. And we all know that he's running for president. Okay, it's the worst kept secret in the state of Florida that he's going to be launching a primary challenge to President Donald Trump, who, of course, he owes his entire political career to. And I'm a Trump supporter. Okay, I've already made that very clear. And I just think that's very disingenuous that Ron DeSantis would run for re-election for governor and basically scam people out of donation money, telling them, I'm going to be your governor for 4 years, these unsuspecting Trump supporters who donated to Ron DeSantis. And now he's going to use that money. He raised over $200 million this last election season, and he's going to use that money against Donald Trump. And so I decided that I was going to have a pro-Trump rally. Okay, it wasn't like an anti-DeSantis rally. It was a pro-Trump rally in Leesburg in front of the Books A Million store where he was having his event in the parking lot, in front of the store. And I invited the Villagers for Trump, which, of course, is the largest Trump club here, not only in the state of Florida, but in the entire country. And also, the Villages was Ron DeSantis' next destination after Leesburg, and it's where I ran for Congress this last election season. And so we show up, and all we have is our pro-Trump 2024 signs. Everybody there had voted for Ron DeSantis, but they were Trump supporters. They were senior citizens. Okay, I'm always the youngest person everywhere I go these days, ever since I moved to the Villages. So that's nice. And these ladies just had signs. One of them even said, Governor Ron DeSantis, please wait till 28, Trump 2024. And nobody was derogatory. Nobody was nasty. And we were in the parking lot, and a few reporters came up to us. And then all of a sudden, you see in the video this security guard who said, listen, you guys have to leave. And I said, no, we have a First Amendment right to be here. We're simply, in the parking lot in support of President Trump. We're not blocking any traffic. And then he came back, and he said, you guys really need to leave right now, or else I'm going to call LPD, which is Leesburg Police Department. And I said, no, we're allowed to be here. This is our right. We have a right to be here. And I said, who's telling you that we need to leave? And he goes, well, DeSantis's people, I guess because they organized this book signing, he said, and you can hear him on the tape, told me that anybody Trump has to go. So anybody in Trump gear, anybody with Trump signs has to go. And then there's even more video that I posted last night with other angles so that you can see that's exactly what he said. And then the guy who told us to leave was actually a Trump supporter. And he goes, listen, I'm a Trump supporter, but they said you have to leave. I'm doing my job. And these, DeSantis staff inside said anybody Trump has to go. And then we refused to leave. So they called the cops on us. They called the Leesburg Police Department on us, and we were threatened with being cited for trespassing and being arrested if we didn't leave.
Okay, so on the line is Laura Loomer, and this incident she described happened just yesterday at a book signing for Ron DeSantis. Okay, so here's where I'm a little, I'm as pro-Trump as ever, and I'm with you on all that, Laura Loomer. But the security guard that came out, was he sent out by the DeSantis campaign or some liberal jerk that runs the bookstore, the manager?
Well, he said that, so it was what happened was, you have Books A Million, right? Mm-hmm. And we arrived at 4 o'clock is when we first got there. And Books A Million was scheduled to close at, I believe, 5:30 for the book signing. And so you had some people lined up around the sidewalk. And then DeSantis had back-to-back events, and so it was scheduled online. It said from originally from 6:15 till 7:15, I believe. But I think it may have started a little early. So technically speaking, right, according to the invite and their own information listed online, an event that was open to the public, they had said that the store wouldn't be closing till 5:30. So, you know, there were all types of people walking around out there. And the security guard came out. I believe he was like a mall security guard for Books A Million, and under the instruction from DeSantis' team. Because listen, there were actual protesters there from the left that were on the other side of the street, but still on mall parking lot. They weren't on the sidewalk all the way across by the street where they later told us to go. And so I posted that video as well. They specifically targeted Trump supporters because they never went over to the leftist protesters who were protesting DeSantis removing the African studies course in Florida, and they never told them to get off the mall property. And that video was posted on my Twitter account now. So clearly this was an act of targeting, because how is it that Trump supporters are not allowed to be on mall property and we have to go stand by the road, which is, you know, dangerous. You have cars driving pretty fast. But then these actual leftist protesters are allowed to exercise their First Amendment right. How come DeSantis' staff didn't target them?
Well, okay. I'll tell you, Lord Loomer, I've been talking about this an hour before you were here, and I did not believe the story. I thought the story was fake news, but hearing you tell the story, not just with the credibility of who you are, but in a lot of color detail in there, it seems true. I mean, I hate to say it, but it seems it's hard. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, Laura.
Listen, I'll tell you, Brian, look, I voted for Ron DeSantis, okay? You know me. In 2018, I was down there on your show nearly every single morning during the recount, breaking stories, okay? I helped Ron DeSantis, basically uncover all this voter fraud when Andrew Gillum, the crackhead, was trying to steal his race. And the reality is that DeSantis is running. This is a pre-presidential shadow campaign. His book deal is an infusion of cash, millions of dollars from the Murdoch-owned HarperCollins book publishing company, so that Ron DeSantis can be flushed with cash when he launches his campaign. And he's waiting to file until the end of May because he's waiting on the Florida legislature to change the resign to run law. This is what corrupt dictators and authoritarians do, changing the law for one person. Everybody should be opposed to this. Ron DeSantis essentially hoodwinked every single Floridian who voted for him for 4 more years, and I think that it's completely unethical. And when you look at
if everything you say is true, and I listen, I always believe you, Laura Loomer, and it's one of those things that's hard to believe. You don't want to believe. DeSantis is going to have a hard time running a campaign barring MAGA hat wearing people.
Well, he's doing it. And look, when you look at his record, he isn't exactly the most America First MAGA person out there. Okay, I've been helping a lot with some of these J6 trials in D.C., and I've been working with J6 lawyers and defendants. And Ron DeSantis is on the record saying that he hopes that the J6ers go to jail. He endorsed candidates that don't believe the election was stolen. He endorsed this guy named Joe O'Dea, who said he hopes that the J6ers rot in prison. Okay, Ron DeSantis continuously inflates his list of accomplishments or non-accomplishments. I mean, Florida is now an abortion sanctuary. It's a destination abortion state for women who want to get abortions, okay? They had 82,000 abortions in the state of Florida last year.
Oh, my goodness.
Ron DeSantis, yes. And so there was a big report about this that just came out on One America's News the other day. So he loves talking a big talk, but he always comes out short. Look at me. I ran for Congress. I'm as MAGA and America First as they come. I was the only deplatformed candidate that was denied access to social media, and he said nothing. He said nothing.
Well, listen,
only got my account back.
Laura Loomer, I gotta run for the break, but thank you for the story, and I'm really sorry to get this story confirmed because I did not want this story to be true. I saw the video and I'm blown away by it. Thank you for your time. Listen, she's back on Twitter, everyone, at Laura Loomer. Follow Laura Loomer. She's the best. You can hear she's just getting warmed up, but we're up against the break. Laura Loomer, take care and keep doing what you do.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, take care. We'll be right back.